All right, let's get right into this. We're going to break down an absolutely chilling story that comes from the dark, lonely roads of India. It's one of those tales that kicks off with a simple act of kindness, but then it just spirals into pure, unrelenting horror.
So here's the question at the very heart of it all. I mean, just think about it. What happens when you try to help someone, but that very act of helping turns out to be deadly? Let's see what that looks like.
Okay, so let's set the scene. It all starts here, late at night on a totally deserted road. We've got our main guy, Neil. He's just finished a long, exhausting night shift at his new job, and honestly, all he wants is to get home. So let's follow his path, right? It's 1 in the morning, and he's just leaving the office. For a little bit, he's on the main highway, and, there's a little comfort in seeing other cars around. But then his route takes a turn. He veers off onto this dark, unlit dirt road, and just like that, he's completely, utterly alone. Yeah, the only light he has is that single beam from his bike's headlamp, just slicing through this silence that's so deep it almost feels threatening. And that road ahead, it's twisting into the darkness like a black snake, just slithering into nothing. It feels like it's alive, like a predator just waiting. And right when that feeling of total isolation is starting to really creep in, something happens. The silence breaks, and Neil is about to have an encounter that's going to change absolutely everything. Out of nowhere, he hears it, the sound of another bike. And then, a couple on a motorcycle just zips right past him. A guy driving, a woman riding on the back. For a split second, it's gotta be a relief, right? A sign that he's not the only person out here tonight. But that feeling does not last long. Then, his eyes lock onto something really dangerous. The woman's wearing a sari, and the loose end of it, the palu, is flapping just inches away from the spinning back wheel of the bike. He knows instantly that could be a disaster. So what does he do? He does what any good person would, right? He doesn't even think twice. He guns the engine, pulls up alongside them, and tries to shout out a warning. Just a simple, decent thing to do. And this is the exact moment everything flips. He yells out what you see here. "Ma'am, your Paloo might get stuck in the wheel." He's done his good deed for the night, probably feeling like he just saved someone from a terrible accident, and he speeds on ahead. But then, just a few moments later, he hears that bike again. It overtakes him, and Neil's blood must have turned to ice, because the man is still driving, but the back seat, it's empty. The woman in the red sari is just gone. Okay, so now that confusion starts to fester and turn into just pure, unfiltered horror. This is where the story gets really, really dark. So Neil, totally confused, catches up to the other biker and asks, "Hey, where'd your wife go?" But the biker's face is just pale with fear, and he doesn't answer the question. Instead, he asks his own question, and it's a chilling one. Who did you see sitting on my bike? You can just feel that terrifying disconnect right there. And then comes the final punch to the gut. The biker says, "I hadn't given a lift to anyone. He was driving alone the entire time." So now these two guys, complete strangers, are united in this absolute terror. They both look back down that pitch black road, and there, in the distance, they both see it. A faint, shadowy figure, just standing in the middle of the road. They don't stick around to figure out what it is. No way. They just hit the throttle and get out of there as fast as they can. But the horror, it doesn't stay on the road. It follows Neil right into his home. He can't sleep. Every shadow, every little noise is a threat. He looks at his own red window curtain, and all he sees is her sari. He keeps hearing whiskers, someone calling his name, and he's plagued by this nightmare where that ghostly woman just attacks him. This whole experience has just shattered him. But, life goes on. He's got a job. He can't just hide in his house forever. Sooner or later, he knows he's got to face that haunted road again. And his fear is so real, so powerful, that he actually skips work for 2 whole days, just completely paralyzed by the thought of getting back on that bike. But by the 3rd day, he knows he just can't avoid it anymore. He forces himself to get ready for work. And as he starts his bike, his legs are literally shaking. He's just dreading that ride home that he knows is coming. And this brings us to the chilling final act. As Neil rides down that same cursed road again, the story asks this terrifying question.
Is this nightmare finally over? Or is he trapped in some kind of endless cycle? So he's on that dirt path again, heart just hammering against his ribs. And then he hears it. That same familiar rumble of another motorcycle coming up from behind him. His whole body just seizes up. No. Is it happening all over again? He can't stop himself. He has to look. He braces for the absolute worst, glances back, and the other rider is alone. There's no one on the back of the bike. And the relief that must have washed over him, it's just immense. You can almost feel him take this deep, shaky breath. It's over. The nightmare is over. It was a one-time thing. The curse is broken. He even cracks a little smile at the other rider. But then, the other biker pulls up right next to him. He lifts his helmet visor and says the most horrifying thing Neil could possibly imagine. Tell the lady her Palu might get stuck in the wheel. The ghost wasn't on the other man's bike anymore. No, this time, she was riding with Neil. And that just leaves us with one last haunting question, doesn't it? Neil's single act of kindness just made him the next link in this horrifying supernatural chain. So, if you were the next person to ride down that lonely road, and you saw Neil, what or who would you see riding behind him?